All right, we are going to roll right into our next media availability today. We are now joined by Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Team Penske Ford. We'll go right into questions. We'll start right up here with Greg.
Oh man, I wasn't ready. Hey Joey, Greg Engel Forbes. The F1 Drive to Survive. Have you seen that? What's it?
The what? I'm sorry.
F1 Drive to Survive.
Yes.
You kind of involved in something like that. That's kind of what the NASCAR take. What was that experience like? And do you hope it kind of helps the sport the way that Drive to Survive has seemed to help F1?
Well, I think everyone's seen the success that Drive to Survive had. With reaching out to the non-fan or maybe casual fan of F1 and seeing, I think, how much that turned around, at least even my point of view, right? I watched it casually, but I'd say I watched it a little bit more intensely now, as you learn a little bit more about how their sport works and really peeling back the curtains of not necessarily their personal lives that I really care about, but it's the how the race teams ran and how they do things differently than what we do here in NASCAR. And those things were intriguing to me. So I think it's pretty obvious it was successful. And I think it's smart for us to look for ways to do the same thing, which we did. And I've been able to watch the first episode so far as a approval thing, and it's very entertaining, like highly entertaining, and it's a good mix of preparing for racing, personal lives, and the race itself, which may actually be the smallest part of it, because everyone gets to see the race on Sunday anyway, so you don't have to tell that story again. Everyone knows how it goes. But at least the preparation side of it and how my competitors do it and those type of things, I'm interested in. I like watching that stuff as well. So, it kind of reminds me of the show, what was it, NBS 24/7, I think it was. Like, remember a long time ago, and they followed it was Kenny Wallace and Fedua and all those guys, right? It's pretty entertaining. So it's a step in that direction for sure. And I think it's going to be great. I really don't see it where it's bad for the sport. Has some drama in it. It's life, right? It shows life, and it follows different drivers at different weeks. So I think it's going to be great for our sport, for sure. I think it was a hole in our sport that needed to be filled.
So you saw the first episode. I saw the first episode. How true do you think it was?
You might have seen it before me.
No, saw it yesterday.
All right, I beat you.
How true was it to what? Because I mean, you experienced it, right? You've experienced the cameras and them being there with you, and then you see it, and obviously editing, they can do things. But how true was it?
It's. I mean, as far I can only speak on my behalf and my stuff, and it's pretty true there. There's some editing ways and how they kind of create a character in a way. But I wouldn't say they're far off on a lot of it. So I thought it was good. I mean, they came to my house and, they shot what I said was okay to shoot, and they didn't what I said I didn't want them to see. And I mean, the only thing I don't want to see is where I don't want people to know where I live. That's like as a security piece. I don't want that. And they were respectful about that. And I said, here's the things that I'm willing to show, and we lived our life, and they filmed it, and I can't say we did anything differently than what we typically would do. So it was good. We did that. We put some GoPros in the pickup truck on the way up to Bristol, and had a truck full of kids screaming, and it's life. And they filmed it. So it's gonna be fun to watch that, and how everybody does things differently, right? And different lives away from the racetrack. Everyone has different amount of kids, or married or not, or whatever, right? Everyone has a different life. It's kind of fun to see.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we'll go over here.
Hey, Joey. Chris Collin, News Daytona Beach. So it was announced a couple of days ago that you'd signed a long-term extension with Team Penske. I had, I guess, two little questions. Number one, can you confirm how many years the extension is, and is sponsorship lined up for the duration of it?
I can't speak to the terms. So I'm sure everyone can probably put a few things together and figure most of it out, but it's definitely a long-term deal that's going to be great for all of us with Shell and Pennzoil and Team Penske. And honestly, I think about it, and it's a no-brainer for me. Right, I was in a great situation. I feel very loyal to my partners in Roger and in Shell and Pennzoil that picked me up when no one else was going to, and gave me an amazing opportunity to win a bunch of races and a championship, and had the opportunity to continue that relationship is to me, like I said, a no-brainer. I'm in a great spot. You got a winning race car, a secure place to work. When you think of what Penske can offer there, so to me it was a pretty easy decision on what to do there, and to continue growing on the team we have. It's tough to keep jumping ship, to go from one team to another. It's not easy to do. You have to relearn how things work. Learn new relationships, who does what, and you're kind of starting from the beginning. We're having the continuity of what we see at Team Penske for years to come, whether it's on the 12 or with Blaney resigning, myself, you see we're going to be able to work together for a long time and keep building off of what we're doing, and I think that puts us in a place of strength.
Thanks, Joey.
Yep.
All right, we'll go to Lee next.
Just kind of curious, we kick off the playoffs at Darlington, and with you winning there, how much confidence do you have going into the first race of the first round of the
I
playoffs?
feel good about it. I feel, really the last month, I feel really good about our performance, especially how we've been executing races. Gosh, we've been really good at that the last month. We've maximized what we had. Our cars need to be faster, for sure, but and depends on the type of racetrack. But to answer your question, Darlington is probably, more so in our wheelhouse than any other racetrack. Old wore-out surfaces is good for me as a driver and Paul as a crew chief. And the length and type of track that is as well kind of falls into our wheelhouse. So excited about going back to Darlington. Obviously, we have a good place to work on after we just ran there and had some success, so we can kind of tweak that setup some and hopefully be a little stronger than we were last time.
And to kind of go back to the last thing you were talking about, you were resigned. Blaney was resigned a week ago. They announced Suarez extension today. Okay. What kind of place does that put Kyle Busch in? I mean, as far as it being a distraction, because you guys are all now just fully concentrated on the task at hand, which is the playoffs. And, he's got this, 10,000-pound weight in the room, just not knowing where he's going, what he's doing, and certainly no continuity.
Yeah, it's a fair question, and I can't answer it for him. I can answer it for myself, and just going through, the quick negotiations that there was. It was Roger flew in, we met for 3 hours, and we shook hands and we left. Like that's how that worked, and that's how it worked the time before. And it works smooth like that because we both understand each other's side and we come to a neutral ground that makes sense for everybody. And we both walk out of the room feeling like we got a good deal. And that's what a good deal is, right? When both sides win, that's a good deal. We've been able to accomplish that for the last 10 years already. So I can say when it happens that quickly and you just move on, the distraction is minimal because it just happens, boom, it's over. But knowing it with the negotiations coming, you have to prepare for it, right? And that is a distraction. And that's just with one team, right? What if you were out there talking to 4 or 5 different teams all at the same time and trying to drive the race car and trying to, live your life and be a dad and be a husband? Holy moly. Like, I don't know if I can do it and be 100% at any of it. It's just the balance. I don't know if it's possible for me. I can't speak for anybody else. I'm just speaking for myself. So that's one of the main reasons why I feel so at home where I'm at. Yep.
All right, we'll go up to Holly and then back there.
Hi, Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. Joey, I know this may sound like a crazy question, but can this race, how do you approach it? I mean, this race is typically a little bit, shall we say, active, wild, a lot going on. Do you expect it to be the same way this weekend? And how do you kind of, know that that's what you're going to expect? Is it going to be even more so because it's deciding a lot for the playoffs?
Yeah. It's last chance, all right? And it's your last shot to get in, and everyone has the opportunity to win this thing. Everybody does. And yeah, I think this race plays differently than some of the other super speedways, and some of it is because points don't matter for a lot of people. They matter for us. We can get up there in points still and turn those into playoff points. But there's some teams that they may not race for stage points because what's it matter? Right? They just got to survive and have something to race with at the end. So why would you take yourself out before that? So you're going to have that, but I do think at the end of the race, there's desperate people do desperate things. And if this is your chance to get into the playoffs and know what that means for your team, and you have to make a risky move, the risky move is going to happen. Even if it's a 2% chance of it succeeding, it's going to happen. And to me, I think there's a 100% chance that they're going to crash at the end of this thing at some point. I don't see how you don't. I don't see how it doesn't happen. I mean, I'd be surprised if it doesn't happen in the last 5 laps. But it's just a situation that we are put in, coming here to Daytona, a super speedway, with what's on the line, right? And it's kind of asking yourself, what would you do to win the Daytona 500? Well, what would you do to get into playoffs? A lot of them are going to say, I'd wreck my mother to do it, right? That's what a lot of them would say. And most likely you're going to see something like that tomorrow night. So hopefully the bright red and yellow Shell Pennzoil Mustang's in front of all that and can get a trophy at the end of the day.
All right, let's go back there and then up here to Dustin.
Hey, Joey. Trey Campbell of iHeart in Houston. Obviously, your playoff status is kind of, I guess, assured. Does going into this weekend, do you guys have sort of a plan to maybe go for the win, or are you guys kind of trying to help Ryan get into the playoff hunt, knowing he's kind of on the cutoff line?
Well, Ryan's in a pretty good spot after Kurt's news earlier this week. Unfortunately for him, but I guess for Ryan, I guess it puts him in a better spot, and that puts him in a better spot to make the playoffs throughout this race here. There's still situations that can happen that knocks him out, obviously. And I'll be as good of a teammate as I always am, and as good as I can be, and work together as best as possible. But bottom line is, hey, I get paid to win the race too, and I need to go out there and try to win the race as well. So you can't do it on your own. You got to have people to work together with. But we eventually got to go race each other too at some point.
So with the rain kind of coming, how much of a different racetrack will it be? I know there's no practice, so there's nothing to really base it off of. Will it be sort of different than what we saw in the spring? Obviously, it wasn't as bad. Will the track be any different?
The rain's not going to affect it much after the first run, and the track takes some rubber, and the Xfinity race tonight. You should rubber it in some, so I guess it won't be that bad. It's all about track temp is really the biggest difference from the spring race to the fall race, if you want to call it that, I guess. But is that the track temp? If it's hot, it's slick, and you're sliding around, and the pack gets a little looser. If there's a ton of grip, the pack seems to be a little tighter, and that's kind of what changes it up the most. Handling will come more into play. But as the sun goes down, your track temp really doesn't get much different than what it is in February into 500.
All right, let's go to Dustin and then Dalton.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Joey, there's a lot of different scenarios that can happen at the end of the race. And looking at Ryan's situation, especially with Martin, if either one of those wins the race, they protect themselves because one will be in on points, one will get that win for the victory. And I'm curious, because Ryan's your teammate, if there's a situation where he chooses or is put in a position where he feels like he's got to push Truex to the win to help out his situation, as opposed to you or another Ford, how do you look at that situation? How do you handle that? Certainly, it could be a rare situation, but if they work together to help each other to get into the playoffs.
I don't see where Blaney pushing Martin would be better than pushing his teammate. I guess it would be the same result for Blaney.
I would
and
think
his teammate would have a win, which would be good for Team Penske.
Both-
So I don't
both
see
would be
where
good,
I
yeah.
don't see the. I guess I don't see how that situation would play out out there.
Okay.
Right. I mean, like, the worst thing that can happen for them, right, is if there's a non points outside the playoff guy wins wins their way in, and then Martin gains 25 points on Blaney, right? That would be the way he's out. Which I don't know how likely that is. It's very possible here at Daytona. If there is one place, it's here. So it can happen. But, I can't tell you exactly how Blaney's going to call the race and what he's going to do. I think a lot of it depends. It's a little bit on feel, too, on how the race is going and what's going on in the first couple stages before you make your decisions, I think, too, at the end of the race.
Thank you.
Yep.
And that is actually all the time we have. Thank you so much, Joey. Good luck this weekend.
Okie dokie. Thank you, guys.